Europe affects us in our everyday lives now in Europeans.
The political battles in Poland seem almost certain to continue after a general election on October the 21st. The Kachinsky brothers' campaign focuses on fighting corruption combined with a virulent anti-communist drive. Polish rock group Big Zits mocks the twins, singing "The Clones Are Attacking." In this campaign advert, their party, Law and Justice, targets businessmen who got rich in the 1990s. An oligarch who used to bribe politicians is shown telling a friend that the Kaczynskis must go because their government doesn't take kickbacks.
I wracamy do gry. Czy wrócą? Zdecyduj ty.
Prime Minister Jarosław Kaczyński and his brother Lech, the president, say that money concentrated in the hands of a few is a threat to freedom. They claim that most of the oligarchs are former big shots from the communist era. Jerzy Urban became famous during martial law in the 1980s as the spokesperson of the communist government. Nowadays, he's the affluent publisher of a far-left newspaper, NIE, whose readers are in the main nostalgic for the socialist era. He's convinced that the naming and shaming of people thought to have collaborated with the former regime is connected to the anti-corruption offensive, and that it's just a cynical ploy to maintain power. He reckons that the linking of former communist oligarchs and corruption is nothing less than mass manipulation.
It's carried out by telling people that every rich person is only rich because he or she collaborated with the communist regime and institutions. It's true that many skilled people were trained under the old system. Yet nowadays, among the richest Poles, only one was a chairman of a company during the communist era. The rest earned their money in the West or in private business in Poland.
He lives in a luxury villa surrounded by bodyguards in Konstancina, 28 kilometres outside Warsaw. During the socialist era, the party elite lived in this area, but Urban says he doesn't feel threatened by the Kaczynskis' campaign.
I don't feel personally targeted because I'm not a political opponent, so they don't feel threatened by me.
Poland is 61st in NGO Transparency International's corruption index, poor by European standards. Yet according to independent international observers, things have improved since the adoption of drastic anti-corruption measures. Dariusz Edmund Dabski is chairman of the supervisory board of a private television channel. He fled to the US during martial law and believes business is now more open.
Those communists, obviously, they're here. Those people, they were running Poland before for all those 40 years or 50 years. They are here. They didn't escape. And they were well organized. They had money. They had know-how. And they very easily could take over lots of businesses, lots of very crucial, very important institutions. I used to be a president of many computer companies here in Poland, and we basically did not want to participate in public tenders. We never understood why some people are winning those tenders. And when we moved to a market that consumer chooses, we never had a problem.
Poland's GDP has risen over recent years, but the standard of living for many remains low. Almost 7 million people live below the poverty threshold, particularly the elderly. According to socialist group MEP Marek Siewicz, the Kaczynskis' populist rhetoric is aimed at many of these people.
They are offering the simple explanation of the problems of the people. You are poor because somebody stole your money. You are not successful because there is corruption and there is some dirty game created by the system. System is the word which describes everything. If you don't know why the sky is blue and the sun is hot, this is done by the system.
The Law and Justice Party is taking votes that would have belonged to the left. An unpopular reforms package adopted in 2000 is still damaging the image of the Polish left.
The left was supporting the elite, and at the same time it was taking ruthless social steps. It withdrew financial support from the cheap bars where pensioners used to eat, and withdrew subsidised bus and train tickets for students.
Crime, too, was thriving. Wołomin on the outskirts of Warsaw was a virtual sanctuary for gangsters. But since the adoption of an anti-crime law in 2003, criminal activity has dropped substantially. Law and Justice's local mayor explains the dual benefits of the legislation.
In Wołomin, we did something important for ordinary people because we got rid of the criminals and people's safety has improved. This was also important for the local business community. In the past, they had to pay protection money to local gangs. But now, things are much better.
Standing between the Kaczynskis and a second term is the opposition centre-right coalition of Civic Platform and the Farmers' People Party. They have a pro-European programme of liberalisation and criticise the Law and Justice way of fighting corruption.
I think that Polish people need better policies which will give them chances and the opportunity to improve their standard of living. Hate can't be a part of public life. This rhetoric is dangerous. In the past we had the same thing, and it could resurrect the ghosts of the past. Stigmatising the affluent and the bourgeois as the communists did in the past is dangerous, and it leads to nothing. We should know that.
The Kachinsky government is making the most of a drop in unemployment and its anti-corruption drive. But the centre-right opposition and the left could pick up the votes of people who are tired of what they see as an anti-communist witch hunt. While the so-called new rich have been thriving for the past decade and a half, most pensioners survive on €200 a month. It's hardly surprising, therefore, that blaming the past could once again bring the Kaczynskis some electoral profit.